Hey guys, it's Holly Tate, Vice President of Business Development here at Vanderbloemen. And today I am joined by Chantel McHenry, our Senior Manager of Operations at Vanderbloemen. Chantel oversees our human resources, she oversees our operations team, and she's really the backbone of making sure that our systems and processes in our office runs. She is amazing at project management and really building systems and processes to support our team. It's about the people, not the processes. And so Chantel, thank you so much for being here. Today, we're gonna dive in on a topic that is a heavy one. Not the topic that everybody wants to talk about every day, but it is a reality that so many leaders are facing right now at Christian organizations, which is I have to lay people off, but I don't know how to even approach that remotely. Laying people off in general is really, really difficult and not easy to do emotionally, but how do I even do it remotely? So would love to hear from you. How can we effectively lay off people remotely? What does that look like with communication? You could walk us through that. I know it'd be helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. This is such a hard place to be in today with dealing with COVID-19, but as you said, in general, it's hard having to let people go for, regardless of the reason, right? But I think there are, especially if you have to do some pretty major layoffs, furloughs for your company, I think it's imperative that you have a few things under your belt to help you. And that's one is you have to prepare. This is not something that you can wake up overnight and say, oh, okay, we've got to do layoffs because we're in a financial situation that if we don't, it's going to hurt the church or the organization. Well, even though you may have that thought, there's a lot of preparation that has to go into it. One, I recommend that you pray, like begin to seek the Lord about what needs to be done and when does it need to be done and how does it need to be done. I understand that the numbers are dictating quite a bit of what needs to happen, but you still cannot eliminate the fact that you should seek the Lord for guidance and wisdom. I think also that you need to prepare the paperwork. Like there's a lot that goes into having to lay off or furlough people. So there's layoff letters and furlough letters, and then just maybe some type of script or talking points that you will give to those that will actually be conducting the meetings. It's very important that as an organization, as a church, that those that are conducting the meetings are saying the same thing, that we're communicating the same message to everyone that we're talking to. And then two, I think once you've done the preparation, it's time now to meet with the staff. I think first you should meet with the entire staff. Someone in the leadership, if it's your senior pastor, your CEO, the executive director, someone should lead that meeting for the entire staff and just talk about the financial situation of the organization, things that have to be done. And you just need to say it. Today, tomorrow, we have to lay off X amount of people or positions. Just be real honest, but be loving at the same time, because it's a very difficult situation to be in. And then after, during that meeting, also talk about next steps. Just let the team know, okay, today we're going to have meetings with everyone to talk about your status, or we're going to have meetings in the next week. But don't leave the meeting without giving them kind of what the next steps are regarding the layoffs or furloughs. And then it's time to meet with everyone. And I think when you're meeting with everyone, you should have already, during that preparation time, put some type of meeting schedule together. And
Chantel, let me interrupt you just real quick. Going back to the staff meeting, what technology, because I think that's a lot of questions people have, is like, what technology should we use when we're meeting with the whole team to deliver the news about the layoff or restructuring?
This definitely needs to be done via video. It should not be a phone call. It should not be just a conference call. It really needs to be a virtual type meeting. So it would be best for you to have some type of software. And if you don't, then that's part of what you would need to do during your preparation time, is to make sure that you purchase some type of software that you would be able to do video conferencing with.
Yeah,
Great point,
yeah,
Holly.
great advice. Well, I know that's super important. One thing we talked
Yeah,
about in our HR best practices webinar, because video, people can see your
yeah,
feelings on your face over video. They can't always hear that in your voice. And
no,
so video is critical in that all staff meeting and then also in those individual meetings. So
yes. And when you have the individual meetings, I think it's imperative that it's not just done with the employee and the supervisor. There is a third party that should be there, whether it's your HR professional or someone from your leadership team that can sort of put on that human resources hat. But remember, human resources for us, for Christian organizations, is really a pastoral hat. It's where we're really coming in to ensure that we are caring for the person, even in the midst of having to lay off or furlough. And so I think once you get into that meeting, you just need to present the news. Like, this is not time for fluff or to go on about why this is happening. That was done in the all staff meeting. So
yes,
now it's just time to present the news. Let the employee know we're having to lay you off or we're having to furlough you for X amount of days. I think after you've delivered the news, this is a great time to just pause, take a moment. That second person, that person that's there for support, that's a great time for them to kind of chime in and just ask the employee, like, how are you feeling? What's going through your mind? To give them an opportunity to kind of express. It's like getting hit with a brick when someone tells you you're getting laid off or furloughed. You have all these thoughts going through your mind. So it's a wonderful time to just pause, check in with the employee, and make sure that they are having an opportunity to express how they're feeling. And
absolutely.
then you can go back to providing instructions and resources. Things like, when's the effective date of their layoff? What type of medical insurance will they have or won't they have? And when does that end? When will they receive their last paycheck? And then if they have any items that they need to return to the company, then when do they do that and how do they do that? And then once you've done that, I think this is now the time where you should pray and encourage the employee. Let them know that God has not forgotten them and that he still has a good plan for them to prosper and bring them to a good success in their life. And that this is not the end of the road. It's just a little blip that they'll go through, but they will come out on the other side much better than they are today.
Absolutely. Great advice, Chantel. I have a couple of follow-up questions.
Yeah.
So what should you do when you're delivering the news about layoffs and having to lay folks off or furlough them remotely? What about their things, their computers, things that might be at their desk back at the office? How should leaders handle that process of collecting the property that's owned by the organization?
Yeah, so that's probably the last part of your meeting before you pray. So you will want to let the employee know these are the steps that need to be taken in order to return property. It was for us, it was already listed in their letter, and then we covered it during the meeting. And so it's a great time to say on Monday between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m., someone will be available at the office to receive your property and also give you an opportunity to pack up anything that is at your desk. But this is also a great time to ask them what is best for them. Would you like to come up into the office and actually pack your desk? Would you like me to pack your desk for you? Because some people may not be comfortable coming all the way into the office. So you just want to be sensitive to the needs of your people.
Absolutely. And then another question that we've been getting a lot during this time is, how do you communicate back to the team in a remote setting? We talked about how you set up the news in a remote
Yeah.
setting, and then you have your individual meetings where you're actually having the individual conversations.
Hmm.
How do you then come back? And, you know, it's really hard when you come back to that Zoom meeting and you see the remaining folks and everybody's looking around on the video screen to see who's left. How do you
That's right.
recommend that happen? Should you bring everybody back that day? Should you wait a day? What should that look like?
I think that you should at least wait a day. I don't think you come back together the same day. Honestly, by the time you finish the meetings that are taking place during the day for layoffs and furloughs, you are mentally, emotionally exhausted. It's just the fact, right? You need to have time to be able to retreat and just be with the Lord and kind of lay out your feelings, because you'll have feelings as well when you're having to do these meetings. But I think the following day is a great opportunity that morning, if you can, to have another all staff meeting. And this is a great time to just actually say, this sucks. We hate that we had to do it. We understand that this is hard for everyone. And then cast vision, refocused, give the charge for the team members that have remained. Also encourage your team members to reach out to those that are no longer with us. Check in on them, make sure they're doing well. That's just part of that pastoral side that you can empower your team members to continue to execute.
That's great, Chantel. Thank you so much. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
here at Vanderbloemen help Christian organizations with staffing. So that includes hiring the right people, but then that also can include helping you with restructuring and layoffs if that needs to happen. And so if there's anything we can do to support you and your organization, feel free to email me, holly@vanderbloemen.com, or reach out to us on our website. And we'd be glad to definitely pray with you and for you through these hard decisions, but then also offer some advice as you make sure that you set up your team and your congregation or your nonprofit or your Christian school for the best health possible amidst this crisis, and then setting you up for success in the future. So Chantel, thank you so much for all of your
Oh, yeah.
wisdom and time today, sharing with us about how to gracefully, as much as possible, restructure and communicate well during times of layoffs. So thanks so much.
Thanks, Holly.